We say, oh well, we still have huge amounts of resources in this country. I believe tomorrow the iPad 2 will go on sale. The iPad 2. Nobody seriously thinks that a great nation can maintain its greatness, producing ever more sophisticated diversions. Nero, to his credit, fiddled while Rome burned. We can't even do that. We can download an MP3 of some other guy fiddling onto our iPad 2 while Rome burns. That's not an improvement. The diversion, the idea that a great power can survive as a diversionary culture is an illusion. Even as America's spendaholic government outspends not only America's ability to pay for it, but by some measures the world's, this country is still different. Everywhere else, when the economy went south in 2008, people took to the streets in Iceland, in Bulgaria, public civil servants rioted in Greece, elderly students rioted in Britain to demand more government money, more government programs, more government featherbedding, more government insulation from the realities of life. This is the only country in the developed world where millions and millions of people took to the streets to say, no, we could do just fine if you, the government, would get out of our pockets, get out of our lives, and stay out of that. That's the America that has a fighting chance. But if we don't roll back this stuff now, starting with cowboy poetry, starting with the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, starting with the CIA pension fund, if we don't do all that starting today, by 2015 we will be heading for one of the biggest, most convulsive civilizational collapses in half a millennium. We have to start this tomorrow, and we have to be serious about it. Otherwise, American exceptionalism will be exceptional only in the rate at which we slide over Niagara Falls. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you. I think the ladies are going to run the question sessions themselves. If you put your hands up if you want to ask a question, Courtney and Rebecca will get to you.
Oh, hi, Mr. Steyn. My question is, in light of the statistics that you just gave with the birth rate, the unwed birth rate, how do you think that we can possibly change our course in the future? Because we all here believe in what you say, but if there are all these children who are growing up underprivileged, without parents who care, without great education, and without the values that we in this audience all share, I don't see how, honestly, we can succeed.
No, you make a good point, because if you don't want large tracts of America to decay into landscapes of prowling feral gangs. I got into trouble for my remarks on Detroit, city some of you may know. 85% illegitimacy rate in the city of Detroit. I don't even know whether you can say that word anymore, illegitimacy. The word itself is now illegitimate. People don't like you to say it. 85% illegitimacy rate. You say underprivileged. They're not. It's important to understand how they're underprivileged. They're underprivileged in the things that colonial settlers on this land had a couple of centuries back. but they're not overprivileged in the amount of government money that's been thrown at them. They're not underprivileged in the per-student cost of their wretched school system that has given Detroit a literacy rate comparable with the Ivory Coast and the Central African Republic. I got into trouble for remarking about this on the radio, and I'm astonished that I got into trouble, because I can't see why anyone would, no one disputes the facts. They just seem to think it's in poor taste to say it. No, it's in poor taste to have the literacy rate of the Central African Republic. The Central African Republic was ruled for most of the 70s and 80s by a cannibal emperor, Emperor Bokassa. You don't expect it to have a functioning polity because he ate his opponents. So that's actually cheaper than what the Democratic Party did to Detroit. If they just shoved the guys in the fridge and carved them up at Thanksgiving, it would have been a lot cheaper than what they actually did to the city. Arresting that decline means taking the next generation of Americans out of the hands of a corrupt monopoly of social engineers. To go back to what we were talking about, the worst monopoly, the worst of those big government monopolies is the teachers' union. It's one thing. This starts at kindergarten. Kindergarten, they're in fact doing a great job of rewiring our children. The people today who are who become the single moms are people who have been raised in this system. Sometimes there's now 3 generations. People find that hard to believe, but actually, if you have a child out of wedlock at 14, it's not hard to have 3 generations in nothing flat. This has been a sustained assault on the essential societal building block. And if you look at, for example, the meltdown of Charlie Sheen, where normally we raise our eyes to loftier heights, but we're with Beyonce and Charlie Sheen tonight here at Hill, so it's very odd. If you look at Charlie Sheen's very public meltdown, what's interesting is why that didn't finish him off a whole lot sooner than it did. This is a man who says his whole life he can handle the prostitutes and drugs, and the rest of us can't. And you know, he's making a very good point. The problem now is that we have rock star morality. The problem now is that when Charlie Sheen has to get taken to the hospital because he got a hernia because of a wild night of partying with cocaine and prostitutes, he's got the money to sort it out. He can call a lawyer. He can make the problems go away. A 17-year-old waitress can't make the problems go away. And that's why the tone the elite set is absolutely essential. And when you look at what the tone our elites set, it's hardly surprising that when that works its way down to the single mom waitress holding down a couple of shifts and trying to do the best she can, that the entire system falls apart. So we have to get the basic structures of American society out of the hands of those elites, starting in kindergarten. I would think we're getting to the point where we need, if the Republicans don't abolish the Federal Department of Education, which should not exist, I'll make Harry Reid an offer. The Federal Department of Education, that's $100 billion. So we will close the Federal Department of Education and double the funding for the Nevada Cowboy Poetry Festival. That's how it starts.
Thank you very much, sir, for your talk tonight. I'm curious, there seems to be a considerable push among people who recognize the fiscal crisis that we are about to face to try and divorce the argument from any notion of morality. And there's a sense in which everything from CPAC to a popular governor of a nearby state would declare a truce on these moral issues. What would you say to those claims that there's the need to move beyond that in our discussion? And if we aren't to move beyond it, then on what basis do we make the moral argument?
Well, I think Mitch Daniels, Bill McGann put this better than I can when he spoke here a couple of days ago. Bill thought that Governor Daniels in Indiana was completely idiotic to announce that he wanted a truce on the social issues. Even if you wanted a truce on the social issues, you don't announce it, because that guarantees that a liberal media will ask you about nothing else every single press conference in an effort to drive a wedge between you and social conservatives and all the rest of it. So simply in political terms, it's stupid. But it tells you something else too. It tells we have had for too long in this political culture preemptive concession. There might come a time when you're pushed back on the ropes and you have to toss this or that policy overboard, because that's the political reality 3 weeks out from an election. But when you're in the state we're in at the moment, and you're already apologizing for things, and you're already saying there are things we cannot talk about, that is not a good sign. The fact is that fiscal conservatism and social conservatism are intimately